Good morning. Good morning, my beautiful friends. This is your wake up call with Maui Paul. I am Maui Paul. We are here today to say some nice things about ourselves. I want to say thank you to everybody for being here. Good morning, Susan, Shauna, Tony. Wonderful to see all of you today. Thank you so much again for being here on the wake up call. Yeah, it's so once again, Pepper has come up with some more cards for us. And we are going to do the same thing we do every morning at 9 a.m. I'm going to pull a card off the top of the deck, and I'm going to ask you if you are the affirmation on the card. And we are going to respond out loud together. I am that affirmation. As we do this, we are building into our own lives. We are switched up our own understanding. We are giving ourselves the ammunition that we need in order to make it through the day in the best possible way. So let's have some fun and pull a card and say that today I am disciplined. I am disciplined. I exercise control for my betterment. So I am disciplined. I exercise control for my betterment. Are you disciplined? You are disciplined. You exercise control for your benefit. Good morning, Pamela. Wonderful to see you here today. So I'm going to write that down in the comments. I encourage you guys to do the same thing as I affirm that I am disciplined today. I exercise control for my betterment. There's a quote that I love about discipline because when I was a kid, I really didn't like the concept of discipline. But as I became an adult, I realized that discipline and punishment are two different things. That discipline is something that we do for ourselves, and it's a gift that we give to ourselves. But there's a quote that I love about discipline that says, "If we don't discipline ourselves, the world will discipline us for ourselves." And basically saying that if we are unwilling to be if we are unwilling to be the guiding force in our own lives, then then the world will be the guiding force in our lives, and then the world is not going to be nearly as gentle as we will be with ourselves. And so, while discipline isn't anything that we enjoy while it's happening, in fact, the reason that we have habits, the reason that we live the way that we currently live is because there are benefits to doing so. There have been numerous studies that show that the habits that we have, good, bad, and different, basically the habits that that we have formed those habits because they have given us some kind of a benefit. So whether it's a habit that we consider good or a habit that we consider bad, it is nevertheless something that we get benefit out of. And to change a habit and to set up a new habit, even if we know the benefit of the new habit, can be difficult. And so discipline is the act of setting up those new habits. It's the act of of stepping into our future self and saying, well, if I do this today, then if I do this today, then my future self is going to be very happy about that. The trouble, of course, is that and this is one of the biggest issues with goal setting in general, is that the part of our brain that is motivated to action is different than the part of our brain which quantifies the world through words. This is one of the reasons that vision boards work so well, is because the part of our brain that controls our actions doesn't speak English. The part of our brain that controls our actions is part of a much more primordial system that has existed before language was really prevalent. And so when we try to define our goals using words, which we do, and we try to define our desired outcomes, we have to quantify these desired outcomes using words. We have to quantify these desired outcomes with logic. And that part of the brain doesn't respond to logic. And that's why it's so difficult, even when we know that there is something that we ought to be doing, it is so difficult to do it. It's so much easier to live in this exact moment and do the thing that feels the best in this exact moment, even if we know that that what we're doing in this moment is not setting ourselves up for success in the next moment. And so discipline is really just about doing the same thing over and over and over again, whether or not we desire to do it. And it's about being able to pull the future into the present and say to ourselves that, well, if we do this thing right now, we are going to get the result that we desire later. And so I am disciplined today. You are disciplined as well. We exercise control for our betterment. And the evidence that we have done this in our lives is clear, because the lives that we are currently living have many aspects to them that are what we desired when in the past. And so at least at some times we can exercise control over our own present moment in order to set our future selves up for success. So I have disciplines today. I'm disciplined to get up every morning at 9 a.m. and do the wake up call. It is not something that I always want to do. It is something that I've committed to do. It is something that brings me great joy to do. It is something that is oftentimes one of the highlights of my day. But that does not mean that in the moment at 8:30 in the morning, when I'm getting out of bed, that I want to get it done. That it is the thing that I want to do the most at that time. And so, while some days I'm quite happy to jump out of bed and get ready for the wake up call, other times I just do not want to do it. And it's at the times that I don't want to do it, that's where the discipline comes in handy, because just like any other habit, me getting out of bed at in the morning on Monday through Friday 9 a.m. it is something that sets me up for success. It allows me to get more done in my day than what I was doing before I started the wake up call, which was that I was not sleeping until 10, 11, noon every single day. And so I am disciplined, and I exercise control for my benefit. And I know that you're disciplined as well, and you also exercise control for your benefit. I'm about to be a parent here, and I have I'm under no illusions under the fact that or of the fact that I am eventually going to need to discipline my daughter. But discipline need not have a characteristic of punishment. Discipline and punishment are different concepts. Michael Foucault, the famous French philosopher, wrote a book called Discipline and Punish, and basically talked about how discipline is something that discipline is essentially how we control ourselves, or discipline is also how society controls itself. It is a regulatory mechanism, whereas punishment is a punitive mechanism. Punishment doesn't often have any characteristics of discipline in it at all. Punishment is oftentimes an excess, is an excess of expended energy. Punishment is oftentimes when an authority figure ceases to have the restraint that they otherwise have. And in the history of punishment, of course, when governments and people in power and groups in power have punished those who who stood against those powers, or who disrupted the societal order in one way or another, at least back in antiquity, those punishments were also quite, or were oftentimes quite brutal. And because in order to dissuade others from doing the thing, the powers that be abandoned all restraint in their punishment, which is how we get these stories of antiquity about people experiencing horrible things, experiencing deaths that were not very efficient. And so the fact is that discipline and punishment are not the same thing. They're different concepts. But oftentimes, and this is because we are often because we are introduced to the concepts as children, but oftentimes we conflate them in our minds. We say that discipline and punishment seem like the same thing, which is one reason why it's so difficult for us to have self-discipline, because we believe that we are punishing ourselves by doing the thing that's actually good for us. And if we are being honest with ourselves, and we look back at the way that our parents behaved, for the most part, when our parents were disciplining us, they were disciplining us for our benefit. They were giving us a harvest of right living that only discipline can provide. Well, that discipline can still provide that harvest of right living, but as children, of course, we didn't agree with our parents for disciplining us. We did not want to be disciplined. We wanted to live our own way, and didn't understand. And so, to us, discipline and punishment were a similar thing. And so what happened is that in our heads, when we think about discipline, we think that discipline and punishment are the same thing. But discipline and punishment are very different things. And so when we are disciplined, we are exercising control for our betterment. And when we are punished, which doesn't really happen all that much to adults, except in consensual relationships, but when we are punished, it's a different thing. Punishment happens because there is some kind of a break or a breach in the relationship that only that only an expenditure of energy is able to rectify. And so we we uh, we benefit ourselves when we separate the concepts of discipline and punishment and recognize that even though it's not pleasant while it's happening, that discipline is something that eventually yields an incredible benefit to us later on down the line. And when we understand also that the part of our brain that controls our actions, that controls how we get our dopamine hits, doesn't really respond to words. That part of our brain doesn't respond to logic. That part of our brain does not respond to cause and effect. It allows us to use different techniques to talk to that part of our brain. That part of our brain is pure emotion. It's pure feelings. It is visual more than anything else, which is once again why vision boards work so well. And so today, when we are going to have choices. I mean, we are adults. We're going to have choices as to what we do today, and we can decide to do things that are good for our future selves, or we can decide to do things that are not good for our future selves. And so let's make the decision to do the stuff that's good for us. Let's make the decisions to do the things that are setting our future selves up for success, even if it doesn't feel great today. Because in the end, the disciplines, the small disciplines that we have each and every day, are going to define the character of our lives and are going to give us the consistency that we need in order to build a foundation of success. All right, my beautiful friends, I want to say thank you so much to everybody for being here. It is always wonderful to see all of you, and always wonderful to see who pops in, who doesn't come in every day. So good morning again to Tony. Thank you for sharing this broadcast. I hope that you are doing well. I'm continuing to keep you in my prayers, Tony, because as you are overcoming the loss of your mom. Good morning, Shauna and Susan. Wonderful to see you guys here today. Good morning, Pamela. Wonderful to see you. I haven't seen you all that much in person lately. I hope that you and Shields are doing well, and that you are living your absolute best life wherever it is. Got some JOMO for you, joy of missing out. Even though you and I don't talk all that regularly anymore, I know that you are living an amazing life, and I'm sincerely hope that you're doing all the cool stuff. Let's see. Good morning. Let's see. Good morning to Dan coming in from Buford. Always a pleasure to see you here, Dan. And Carnival this weekend. So if anybody is going to be around for Carnival, you'll be seeing me. I should be helping out. Once again, that's one of the things that I do. I do a little bit of volunteering for Carnival. It's one of the times that I like to volunteer every year. But anyway, I am disciplined today, and I am going to exercise some control for my betterment. And I encourage you guys to be disciplined as well. Exercise some control for yours. I'll talk to y'all tomorrow at 9 a.m. We'll come up with another one of these, and I'm excited to see what Pepper comes up with for a card for tomorrow. Until then, this is your daily reminder that I love you, that I care about you, that I think you're amazing, that I think you're awesome, and that I know that the small disciplines that you and I both are developing today are going to pay big dividends later on in our lives, and today as well. And we're going to see the benefits of this even as we are disciplining ourselves. So let's discipline ourselves today so the world doesn't have to discipline us. And I will talk to you guys tomorrow at 9 a.m. Until then, I love you. I care about you. I think that you're awesome. And yeah, and I will speak with you tomorrow. Until then, aloha from paradise.